If you're entrenched in tennis-focused social media, no doubt you will be aware of the controversial new ITF World Tennis Tour. For those not, welcome to a world of mass confusion and confrontation between the International Tennis Federation, ITF, the governing body responsible for lower-ranked tour events that feed into the elite men's and women's tours, and players who have seen dramatic changes forced upon them with regards to how they go about their daily lives. A survey carried out by ITF chiefs concluded that reform was drastically required in the lower echelons of the sport. The survey is said to have been the biggest in the ITF's history, with around 55,000 people consulted, including players, coaches, administrators and player support team members. Concerns were raised regarding prize money, with just 336 men and 253 women able to break even before even factoring in coaching costs, while feedback suggested a desire for greater rewards for successful players and reduced costs to compete. The ITF is also keen to provide more meaning to the junior rankings by giving them a direct bridge to the professional game. On paper, it all sounds entirely reasonable. But there has been a severe backlash against the changes introduced. From 2019, players will only earn ranking points at Tour and Challenger level events, while also going deep in ITF 25K events. Those who go out before the finals at 25K events and who are competing in 15K tournaments won't get any ATP rankings points anymore. However, those competing at 25K and 15K level will get ITF ranking points and thus be ranked in a new system. At the end of 2018, those ATP points earned by players at the lower level events essentially vanished, causing chaos in the ATP system, while the new ITF rankings were formulated instead. It is common for players to have both an ATP and ITF ranking. One of the top-ranked players in the ITF's new leaderboard, Germany's Peter Heller, told Metro.co.uk this week that there was nothing good about the new system and insisted he hadn't spoken to a single fellow professional who felt otherwise. The landscape of social media seems firmly set against the new look tour, with several prominent figures in the game calling for the old system to be reintroduced. So is there any chance of going back? For all the reasons we've set out explaining why we look to do reforms in the first place, it would be not at all optimal to go back, Executive Director of ITF Circuits Jackie Nesbitt told a small group of reporters on Friday. I don't want to get to a situation where we have huge amounts of prize money but we're delivering so poorly for players. To have so few even managing to break even, we have to be able to do better than that. I don't see any convincing argument in favor of a return to the old system. The new system has to deliver better for players. If there are changes that need to be made, they will become fairly obvious fairly quickly. As we said from the beginning, and I think the ATP and WTA are of the same mind, if it's apparent that change is needed, the three organizations will be kicked out. A petition campaigning against the ITF World Tennis Tour, created by 22-year-old Canadian player Maria Petrescu, has gathered more than 11,500 signatures. It's a sizable number considering the focus of angst is aimed towards what is essentially third-tier tennis, but the ITF is unmoved by the outpouring of concern. The petition is what it is, Nesbitt added. It's not unwelcome because while a lot of our changes will be directed by data evidence, it can't be based as a cold structure on data evidence alone. We have to listen to the players. They have a voice in all of this. If they're not happy, we have to take due care and attention, but, you know, we want to make sure that the feedback we're getting is based on properly informed opinion. Maria is entitled to start a petition, she's done it, a lot of people have signed up. There is a certain amount of misinformation in the petition. We will seek to put the correct information out there if people still feel the same. Why would we not? As part of the new regime, qualifying was significantly cut tour-wide, but tournaments have the option to offer pre-qualifying events should they wish. However, a worrying pattern has emerged, with certain tournaments only offering spots in pre-qualifying to those who stay in official media hotels, which may be at a greater cost to players. Considering the ITF's whole ethos at the beginning of the process was to reduce costs, this practice hasn't exactly sat well with players and coaches alike who have submitted complaints to the governing body. What we like about pre-qualifying is it's merit-based, Nesbitt added. Those who get rewards and opportunities at the next level have earned that position, so I think it's a very good concept. Certainly we need to monitor all the conditions. The entry fee I think was traditionally always $50, and that's probably what we will mandate across our associates. The issue around resort tournaments, for sure, I think is a very good point. It's something the players have brought to our attention, and we absolutely intend to pick this up with the organizers. If you're going to do it and it's linked to our tournaments, then it will be for us to determine the conditions, and they have to be fair to players. I understand from the resort organizers' points of view that there's a big commitment to hosting these tournaments. We don't benefit from obvious revenue streams of sponsorship in television and media, so it's an investment, and if they're committing to booking hotel rooms, they have an understandable, whether it's reasonable or not is another matter, need to honor their obligations to the hotel. The conditions have to be fair to the players. It's down to us, for the players bringing their concerns to our attention, to provide oversight and to rule if the two sides can't agree on whether the conditions are not fair or not. The ITF is adamant that players' voices are being heard, and at least one area of progress may prove to be in the involvement of ATP points at ITF 25K events. Plans were afoot to remove all ATP points from 25K tournaments as of 2020, but Nesbitt suggested the decision is far from final. ATP points are not the ITF's to determine one way or the other, they're the property of the ATP, just as the WTA points are property of the WTA, she continued. As to whether they will be in place at 25 kiloseconds or next year or not, quite honestly that's an ongoing question. What we and the tour is committed to doing at the outset of this project, and we always said it would be an evolving project, regardless of what our intentions stated at the very beginning, was we collectively need to monitor, analyze and report publicly on the findings of the performance of our respective elements of the professional tour. It's very much an ongoing discussion as far as we're concerned. We'll, hopefully in good time, explain how it's going to work to players going forwards when we've had an opportunity to get sufficient data to understand how the player flow is working. While it's understandable that there would be teething problems with any new system, the backlash from those involved in the sport suggests that communication channels aren't quite as open as the ITF feels they are. What is clear is that, barring any dramatic changes in the organization, the ITF World Tennis Tour is here to stay.